Hey guys, it's Trevor Devall here of Me, Myself, and Die. I'm in a hotel room right now, and so the video quality is terrible. The audio quality is even worse. The lighting is even worse. But the reason why I'm delivering this video to you today is because I just saw the latest episode from Dungeon Craft, from Professor Dungeon Master, who I'm a follower of. Love his channel. Um, and he just released an episode called something to why dungeon masters are not storytellers, and I think it is brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. He touches on things that I think are so vital as either a GM or DM, whatever you want to call yourself, or even as a solo player. This idea that so many times we hear from blogs or forums or internet videos or whatever, these people talking about GMs or DMs as storytellers. Well, I'm a storyteller. Yeah, I've always hated that term, and there is a reason for it. And I was going to do a video on this very thing. In fact, I've talked about it quite a bit to my Patreons on the private chats and things that we've done with them. But Professor Dungeon Master here has, I think, perfectly encapsulated why I have such a distaste for that term storyteller. So I'm going to let him take it away, and we're going to talk a little bit about what his position is and what my position is, and why I think this is so crucial. So let's have a look at this latest episode here.
Some GMs think they're more than GMs. I'm not just a game master. I'm a storyteller. Hold on there, Shakespeare, not so fast. A game master is not a storyteller, at least not in my opinion, and that's why I'm wearing the +2 vest of protection today.
That would be a +2 vest of protection against all of the, no doubt, ton of negative comments he's going to get.
I believe a game master is a conflict designer. In a traditional narrative, an author constructs a series of conflicts with characters and then resolves them. But in a tabletop role-playing game, you have three elements. You have the game master who designs the conflict, the players who decide how to approach that conflict, and the dice which determine randomly how the conflict is resolved.
So this is absolutely crucial. This idea that there are the three elements. There's the GM, there's the players, and the dice. Exactly as he says. An author develops the characters, develops the conflict, decides the outcome of those conflicts. But you, as a GM, are not an author. You are the creator of the environment. You are the instigator of conflict. You're the instigator of obstacles. I've often said that the role of a GM, whether it is in a traditional game where you're jamming for players, or whether you're doing a solo game, because it's exactly the same principle. The job of the GM is to throw obstacles in the path of the player characters. That is their entire job. The world pushes, the player characters push back, and you get conflict, because without conflict, there's no story. There is no story. To try and force conflict, or rather to try and force story, is trying to force a certain outcome of events, and that is never going to be satisfying, because your players are going to see right through it. And as a solo player, if you have an end in mind that you're trying to get to because you're telling a story, you're not really playing a game anymore at that point. You're just kind of cheating your way to this end, this predetermined ending. Now, is this a valid way of playing? Sure, a lot of people do. I did for years, especially when I was younger, and new GMs very often fall into this trap of thinking that they are storytellers and it's their job to create this epic story that the players are going to walk through. That is not where the power of the role-playing game shines. Where the power of the game shines is where the players make choices for their characters based on the atmosphere, based on the environment that the GM has created, and those choices are meaningful in that they can affect the outcome of events. In other words, there is no story until the game is over, and then the story is the story of what happened. So, Professor Dungeon Master talks at length about this. Let's hear a little more.
To force your players down a
Right
preconceived
here.
path is the definition of railroading, and once they catch on, they will instinctively resist. They're players, not puppets, and their autonomy should take precedence, even when it conflicts with what you think would be cool. I once planned an epic showdown between a character, Titus, and his Chaos Warrior son. But when the confrontation happened, the player, Adam, said, I love my son and could never hurt him. I
This is
throw
a
my
great
sword
example.
away and hug him. I want a charisma check. I said, okay, he's evil. Roll a natural 20. And he did it. So they hugged it out, and the guilt-ridden son flung himself into a bottomless chasm before anyone could say, roll for initiative.
So that is a great example. If you have a story in mind, and these NPCs are going to act on a certain trajectory, they have certain agendas, they have certain beliefs, needs, wants, that's all great. But it all falls apart when you assume that the players are going to behave in a certain way based on that and based on what you think is going to happen. Remember that when you're GMing in a traditional game with players, whether that's online or in person, you as the GM are in control of the entire world and every NPC in it. But the player characters are only in charge of their character. That's it, only their character. So their choices have to matter. They have to feel in control of their own choices. I'm not saying that they're going to be guaranteed success, because that's what the dice determine. But they have to believe and they have to feel legitimately that their choices in the game are meaningful, that their choices are going to affect the world and change the outcome of things, because that's why you play. As the player, you want to be able to interact with the world, but you also want to be able to affect the world. And if there's a predetermined story there, the odds of you affecting the world, well, it's limited by what the GM has outlined in this box of story, right? The role-playing genre, the role-playing game, it has such promise. I've said before in my live chats and things that it is an entirely unique form of entertainment. It's not a book. You're not just passively reading. It's not a movie or a TV show where you're just passively watching. You are engaging with it, and you are creating with it. You're creating it at the same time, collaboratively, as you are experiencing it. Now, how does this apply to the whole solo thing? It applies exactly the same way. When I sit down to play a game, or to do a session of me, myself, and die, I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't have a story in mind. I don't know what's going to happen. I allow the dice to roll on the charts, so that the dice determines the random environment that the character is in, based on context, of course, because context is crucial. The context is of what has come before. But then the character that I'm playing, or the characters that I'm playing, they respond to that evolving world, which is being randomly created. They respond in a way, and they make, to them, meaningful choices. And those choices will affect the outcome of what happens. So they make a choice. I then go back to the charts, the tables, the randomness, and determine what happens based on that. So the idea is that there is no story. There's no storyline. If you look at the second season of Me, Myself, and Die with Arn, it comes to a very nice conclusion. It has a sort of a beginning, middle, and end, which is great. But that wasn't planned. The only reason why it has a beginning, middle, and end is because, well, there's a lot of reasons for that, and I'll probably talk about that in upcoming videos. But just for now, I wanted to point you guys to this channel. If you haven't checked him out, Dungeon Craft, Professor Dungeon Master. He's fantastic. I have a feeling he and I have a very similar game background, because a lot of stuff he says, yeah, I agree with that. I remember that. Anyway, especially for young GMs, or especially for those of you getting into solo games, perhaps for the first time, and you're not exactly sure how it's supposed to work, and maybe you're thinking, oh, well, I want this story. I have this story I want to tell. You're not doing yourself any favors, especially if you're going solo, because you're straitjacketing your character into a finite set of circumstances that must inevitably lead to the outcome of the story you have in mind. Honestly, if you have a story in mind, use the GM emulator to help you write it as prose, to help you write it down as fiction. But as a tool to GM, the power of the emulators, whether that's Mythic or the Ironsworn tools or any of the other ones that are out there, the power of those tools is to free you from the necessity of story. You do not have to have a story in order to create a compelling, engaging, and fun game. Professor Dungeon Master talks about this later on as well, about how you do not have to plan more than 2 or 3 sessions in advance, sometimes not at all. When I'm running Me, Myself, and Die, as I said, I don't plan anything in advance. I have no idea what's going to happen from the second I sit down. watch this video. There's a link here, I guess, here somewhere, maybe in the notes below. But check him out. Subscribe to him too. He's a great resource. He's an old GM like me. He's been around the block. He understands how it works. So check that out. I was so inspired by his video. I wanted to share this with you guys. And as a little update as well, I'm still in transition here. So the new studio is not yet built. I'm still hoping to have the Sage's Library stuff come up very soon, but this move is taking a long time. It is a much, much bigger deal than some of you might know. It is a matter of months, not weeks. So I'm smack dab in the middle of it now, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So not to worry, things are still moving. But I wanted to put out a video for you guys now, just to let you know that I'm still here, still alive, even though the quality is garbage, because, as I said, I'm in a hotel room on a webcam, and it's terrible. But anyway, yeah, check out Professor Dungeon Master, Dungeon Craft, on YouTube, and check out me, of course, and like and subscribe to my videos, blah, blah, blah. Apparently it really helps the algorithm, I guess. Anyway. You all know the drill by now. You've all seen YouTube. So I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.